SEBI's big move to stop the UPI frauds in the stock market. You may have used the UPI to transfer money to brokers, mutual funds and other intermediaries. But what if I told you that you could have spent your money on the wrong person? A scammer might be pretending to become your broker, right? To be your broker. Now that's a problem. Until now, there was not at all a standardized format for the UPI IDs in the securities market, right? There was not at all a standardized format here. So now SEBI has resolved that. There's a circular which recently SEBI has introduced on the standardized, validated and exclusive UPI IDs for payment collection by the intermediaries. Now these intermediaries need to take standardized UPI IDs that should be validated and that should be completely exclusive in nature. Before starting the discussion, I would like to tell you about a very special batch related to the SEBI Grade A examination 2025. This is a complete course batch and we'll be covering both phase 1 and phase 2 in this particular, and this is a live batch, so you can join and start your preparation with Oliveboard. You can also join this live webinar which is scheduled at 21st of June 4 p.m. Here the AIR1 will be sharing 60-day study plan for your RBI Grade B examination. You can take mentorship from the AIR1 as well, and you can definitely ask your questions as well. We have also introduced a RBI batch, that too with books, so you will be getting physical books in this particular batch. Okay, you can check out the course highlights later on, and you can download our Oliveboard application also to get all the PDFs related to the YouTube sessions. Now the objective of this circular is very clear: to enhance the safety, bring trust and transparency in the securities market by standardizing the UPI payment mechanism. So let's suppose you are paying a broker, a stock broker, via the UPI ID of the broker, right? Now someone can impersonate, right? A hacker can definitely here come into picture and take this money by giving you a fake UPI ID, because there is no standardized system of UPI ID if I talk about the market related entities like brokers, like exchanges, right? So that's why SEBI has curbed this thing. They're bringing a new UPI system here. The investors can now directly transfer the funds to validated and registered SEBI registered intermediaries through a structured UPI address. So these entities now need to take a new UPI ID. They need a new and structured UPI ID, that too validated honi chahiye, right? Authorized honi chahiye. So though definitely for investors it's optional, it is mandatory for the intermediaries to obtain and provide this UPI ID, and we can see here as well in the circular, it is mandatory for the intermediaries to obtain and make the available this structured UPI address to the investors. So they need to give a structured UPI ID to the investors, and this circular is applicable to all the recognized stock exchange, clearing corporations, depositories, right? Self-certified syndicate banks, SCSBs, investor-facing intermediaries, RTAs, and everyone, right? So what is basically a structured UPI address? First, let's discuss that. A structured UPI address need to have a username that is alphanumeric, right? Selected by the intermediary, followed by a suffix based on the intermediary type. If I talk about, let's suppose ABC is a broker, okay, it's a stock broker, so it need to have abc.brk. So adding a suffix always helps, so that in order to identify like whatever the entity is all about, right? Handle, a unique identifier like valid HDFC Bank will definitely give more transparency to the investors, right? Issued by the NPCI with the self-certified syndicate banks. So if I talk about example, if ABC is a stock broker, then abc.brk, that should be a username, right? Now let's suppose XYZ is a mutual fund company, then in that case xyz.mf will be a better username here, right? It increases transparency. It is a good practice to have an initial of your whatever you are doing in the stock market. Maybe you are a broker, maybe you are a mutual fund investment company, right? Now what is UPI handle? UPI handle is nothing but whatever you are writing after the @ right? To make it convenient for investors to identify the UPI address of the intermediaries, now shall they need to use the easy and unique relatable handle like @valid. So this shows a validity of the UPI ID, right? combined with the name of the self-certified syndicated bank as well. Let's suppose if the syndicated bank here is HDFC, then valid HDFC bank will be a better UPI handle for greater transparency here, right? Just like that, if you are a stockbroker, abc.brk is your username, @valid HDFC will be your UPI handle. If you are a mutual fund company, then xyz.mutualfund @valid HDFC will be the UPI handle, right? So it is better for the transparency purpose. You are at a glance can see that this is a broker, the syndicate bank here is HDFC bank, whereas this is a mutual fund company, so the investor can definitely easily identify the same, right, and proceed accordingly with no risk as of now. However, they have introduced a visual verification for investor as well, right? Despite of all these things, they have kept a add-on thing as well, a visual verification for investors. So whenever you are making a payment, this sign will be displayed, right? Triangle and a thumbs up in that triangle. So this gives you assurance that the payment you are making is completely genuine and it will go to the right person. It will be hitting the right account, right? So white thumbs up icon inside a green triangle will appear during the payment via the validated UPI ID. Will it curb the cyber security related issues? Yes, it will definitely curb the cyber security related issues. Now this ensures that the investor are only paying to the verified SEBI registered intermediaries and as well. So definitely unauthorized entities will be prevented here, right? Allocation and use of valid handles. Reserved category will be there for SEBI registered intermediaries and merchant code will be also there. So there will be a reserved category. You can only use it for the sole purpose, right? Not this UPI handle cannot be used for any other purpose rather than the payment collection here, right? So that's the uniqueness they are bringing to the table via these UPI handles, right? Okay, UPI transaction limit as well. So as we all know that NPCI has given a range of 2 to 5 lakh rupees per day depending on the various kind of activities, right? Based on our analysis and available limits on the transaction through UPI, the upper limit of 5 lakh per day for capital market transaction, they have set the upper limit of 5 lakh per day for capital market transaction, subject to review and further evaluation if necessary. So they have kept 5 lakh rupee as the daily UPI limit for the capital market related transaction. And in the near future, SEBI will also bring a verification tool here known as SEBI Check. So what can SEBI Check will do? Definitely you can scan the QR code of your entity and enter the UPI ID as well, and it will definitely verify the validity of the authenticity of this particular code or UPI ID. So this SEBI Check is a kind of app, is a tool which can definitely validate the authenticity, whether this is valid or not, right? A particular UPI ID is valid or not. Then there is verify the bank account details as well. It will also verify the bank account details. The sole purpose of this entire circular is to prevent fraudulent conditions, right? Because UPI is having a great amount of penetration and SEBI wants to completely secure the UPI payment process, that the money is coming in via UPI channels, right, to the MIIs or the stockbrokers as well, right? So mechanism to verify the UPI ID and bank account nodes, you need to know that there is a tool named SEBI Check which will definitely verify the QR codes as well as the UPI ID here. Now they have given a flow as well in the circular, process flow for allocation of UPI handles. The circular is being issued by the SEBI now. NPCI must communicate to the banks and allocate the handles. Okay, NPCI will be communicating to all the banks and will allocate the handles. Now bank needs to incorporate the changes here. The intermediaries request for a valid handle UPI IDs to their bank using the SEBI intermediary portal. So they need to use the SI portal, SEBI intermediary portal for that, and they need to request the banks for the respective handles, the authorized handles here. Once they get the handle, the bank confirms the request after login to the SI portal, SEBI intermediary portal, and allows the handle to the intermediary in the system. Then the bank will definitely allow the handle request to the system, and now the intermediaries are notified for the approval here. So that will be the entire process flow of this particular circular. If I talk about the responsibilities, then intermediaries do have the responsibility to obtain a new UPI ID as mentioned in this circular. They need to discontinue the old handles here, right? So there is a timeline given. They need to discontinue the old handles and they need to switch to the new handles as of now. Create awareness. They also need to create more and more awareness through SMS, email and all the electronic channels. Plus they have released a frequently asked question list as well. QR code generation is mandatory. They need to generate the QR code of the new UPI ID that they have been granted. White thumbs up icon in green triangle is a must. That states the genuinity that the investor is transferring the money to the right person which was intended, right? However, SIP specific rule, existing SIPs can continue with the old UPI ID as well, because there is a lot of inflow coming in from SIP market, right? The systematic investment plan market. So definitely they can continue with the old UPI ID as of now. New or renewed SIP, let's suppose if you are opening a new SIP or you are just renewing your old SIP, then validated UPI IDs need to be used, right? Coming to the MIIs and RTAs, then definitely there are some more responsibility here. They need to make necessary changes at their end as well to enable the intermediary to access the SI portal through them, right? New payment handles and the SIP SEBI check will also be there, right? It will soon come into picture as well to validate the IDs. Now this needs they also need to create the awareness and educational content. They need to create more and more educational content so as to guide the investor that these things have been in place for their protection, right? And that's what the work of SEBI is all about. And they need to comply it by 1st of October 2025. That's the timeline. Here are some of the short forms for the UPI usernames as well. Just like for the stock brokers, they need to use the username BRK, right? If you are a depository participant, you need to work DP, right? If you are a research analyst, you need to keep the word as RA. If you are an infrastructure investment trust, then INVIT. So it will definitely encourage the transparency, and I have given some of the FAQs as well at the end of this PDF. You can later on download this PDF and do read them as well, right? Those FAQs as well. So thank you so much everyone for watching the video. See you in the next video. Bye bye. Take care.